Good evening, everyone. My name's Clifford and welcome to our live webinar this evening. The webinar subject is about how you can build and maintain a successful practice. And it's an introduction to our online course, which starts tomorrow. We've run that course, I think, 3 or 4 times now, and it's always a popular and successful one. And with me, I've got Dinah John on the air. Hello, Dinah.
Hi, everybody. Hiya.
And
am I the right volume?
You are the right volume, Dinah. You sound perfect. and sitting quietly next to me, I've got Shakura, who's doing the engineering for this broadcast. Okay, say hello. And Shakura will be monitoring the questions as they come in. So, without further ado, let's get going. We've had nearly 100 people register for this webinar, which is absolutely fantastic. People are still arriving. We've got over 50 people logged on right now. So it's great to have you all here. And we're going to find out a little bit about everyone on the webinar in a moment. Okay, so welcome to the Successful Practice webinar. Okay, so first of all, we've got 1 hour together, so I thought I'd give you a short introduction of what's going to happen in the next hour. What we'll do is we'll first of all find out a little bit about you, and we'll just explain how the webinar system works if you haven't done one before, and remind you if you have done one recently. Then we'll give you a brief overview of the online courses that we run. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take you through each of the 5 weeks of the Successful Practice course, tell you a little bit about what happens, give you some ideas for your own practice, and also I'd like to lead you on part of one of the exercises that we do, so you get an idea of our energy work based approach to building our practice. Then we'll talk a little bit more about how the online courses work. So I'll show you some screenshots of the online courses if you've not done one before. So first of all, let's find out something about you. So I've prepared 3 polls, and Shakura will launch them. They should come up onto your screen, and then you should be able to then respond to the poll. So the first thing is, let's find out where you're from. We've got over 60 people registered on now, so let's see where you're from. Wow, everyone's very fast today. We've had 80% everyone voted already. Well, very European this time. We've got 96% so far Europe and Scandinavia, 4% from North and South America, and no one from anywhere else, which is quite unusual. Usually we have a wider geographical spread. So there we go. Okay, and yes, just published the. Well, hello to those of you in North and South America, and to those of you all over Europe. Okay, let's find out if it's your first webinar. This will give us an idea of how much we need to explain how the webinar system works. So we've got another quick poll coming up. Is this your first webinar? Oh, we've got a very engaged audience as well today. We've got 90% people voted. Are there anyone else out there who wants to vote? Okay, no. Okay, right, there we go. Well, we've got nearly 4 out of 10 of you. It's your first webinar, and we've got 58% have attended a webinar before. Perhaps it's one of ours that you've been to before. Okay, just one other thing we'd like to find out about everyone. We'd like to find out exactly who you are or what you are. And so we'd just like to find out if you're a shiatsu student, a shiatsu practitioner and teacher, or an other therapist, or not any type of therapist. So let's see.
Oh, now Cliff, you're going to have to tell. I've noticed that there are 2 or 3 of our recent graduates, so they're not really students, but they might think that it's immodest of them to become a practitioner. But can I tell you, graduates, just call yourselves practitioners, because you are.
Okay, that's a very good point. Okay, so let's have a look. Oh, look, vast majority are shiatsu practitioners. Look, we've got 10%
Great.
teachers, 20% students. That's quite a big cohort, and 4% other therapists. Okay, so we've got some other therapists, not shiatsu people on, which is great. Okay, so we found out a little bit about the group, and let's just show you or remind you about how the webinars work. Okay, look, they're all about participation. So you'll notice that you've got a control panel, and what that does is it helps you participate and helps you engage with the webinar. You can open and hide it. So if you want to hide it with the little orange arrow, and you probably have joined already with mic and speakers. If you've got a headset, then it gives you a better experience, but you may use the mic and speakers of your computer. You'll notice that you're muted by default. That's nothing personal. That's just because if we have 100 people all open at once, it can be a cacophony of people putting the kettle on, having a tea break, and so on. So what we do is the system keeps you muted unless you want to ask a question. Okay, so this is the question interface. There's basically two ways of asking a question. You can either input it using text, so you just type it in like a text message or an email, and you can send it to us, and we will monitor those and try and text you back, or even better, we'll answer the question on air. And the other way, if you have got a good audio setup and a good internet connection, you've got a headset preferably, then you can put up your hand, put up your virtual hand, which is clicking on the orange hand here, and that comes up on Shakura's screen, and then she'll tell me that that you've done it. And Amber and Jean have already done that. I assume that you're just testing it, Amber and Jean, at this stage. But we've had a couple of people put their hand up just trying it out. But that's how it works. You click on that. Okay. So, yeah. Okay, good. So that's how the questioning bit works. Okay. Let's give you an overview of the online course, and we're going to use that as a structure for the rest of this evening's webinar. Okay, we've got 5 weeks, and in the first week, it's based around an exercise called 5 Sensing Your Practice. What this does is it gives you a tool by which you can check out your practice using your 5 senses. And hopefully, if we get time later on in this webinar, I'd like to try part of that exercise with you live and see how you get on with that. Okay, week 2, we've got 3 techniques which are very interesting, I think, and they're a lot of fun. What they are, they're ways of looking at how you can develop your practice using these 3 techniques: the pyramid, the spiral, and the wave. And we'll discuss a little bit more about that later on. Okay, and then week 3, we have the window, which is all about attracting people into your practice, and the flywheel, which is about building up momentum in your practice. Week 4, we look at money issues, and I've got a poll that I'm going to ask you some questions about that later on. And then week 5, we finish up by doing some action planning, creating your dream practice. Okay, I'm just going to give you just an idea of what the online practice courses are like before we start. They're asynchronous, and we have to emphasize this because we usually get 1 or 2 people who say, oh, I can't make 9 o'clock on a Wednesday. You don't have to make any particular time during the week. You can participate at any time. And the reason we do that is because we usually have people from different time zones. And also you want to fit it around your basic activities of the week. We have different activities. We have video, audio, and text resources. You have tutor and peer support and networking. That's a really important part of the course. And usually we have a group of international contacts. You get 15 hours of accredited CE or continuing ed if you're from North America, or CPD if you're from Europe. and you get one-to-one help from the tutors to back up the peer support. So that's the main thing we want to emphasize, is you can fit it in right around your work. It's asynchronous. That means nothing has to be synchronized. Okay, great. So now we get on to the main body of the webinar, and these are our beliefs about successful practice. And what we do is we take an energy-based approach. The first thing we'd like to emphasize is we believe shiatsu is wonderful. I could have done a poll on that, couldn't I? We believe that more shiatsu needs to happen, and for that to happen, we need successful practitioners. And therefore, one of our core beliefs with this course is we want to help shiatsu practitioners become successful in their practice. I'll tell you what happened to me when I finished my apprenticeship with Pauline Sasaki in 1986. I really had masses and masses of skills and knowledge that I really wanted to use, and I was very keen to get people through the door because I just wanted it to happen. And I took one particular course in London, which was very, very expensive, run by an American chiropractor, at 3 days in a hotel in the west of London. And I put into practice almost everything that they suggested. My experience was that not all of it worked that well for shiatsu and in England, but over the years and over the decades, actually it's 30 years this year, by the way, the Shiatsu Centre has been running 30 years. We're going to have a big party later in the year. We've kind of refined the things that do work and added some ideas of our own, and that's what makes up this course. So, right. Conventional marketing for shiatsu. Well, you see a lot of conventional marketing courses for shiatsu, and they never seem to really quite hit the spot for a lot of shiatsu practitioners. And I think personally that that's because shiatsu practitioners, they tend to be the type of people that are best at doing therapy, and marketing and selling and things like that, and promotion are something that doesn't come naturally to them. And also another thing we notice is a lot of shiatsu practitioners have issues around charging for healing work. So there's quite a lot of different issues that can come up that can block the practice growing like it should do.
Yeah, I think that's really true. And anybody from the UK who belongs to the Shiatsu Society who's listening in, if you noticed in the last autumn's Shiatsu Society journal, of which I was the editor, we published a piece by one of our graduates, Julia Lamboulay, and she's talking about exactly that, how she built her practice in France, where she'd moved to a completely new place, and she really didn't use any of the standard marketing techniques, but what she used was key, and that is the absolute key to the whole issue. That's something we're really good at working with, key, but we're not maybe very good at being door-to-door salesmen or standard marketers of ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, and Julia actually, of course, she studied with us, and she used a lot of the techniques, didn't because we used these.
She learnt from the Shiatsu College. Yeah.
Because we obviously use some of these techniques that we teach on, or we share with you on the online course, obviously in the Shiatsu College program. Yeah. Okay, so what's our philosophy? Well, as Dinah's just said.
Sorry, I was
no, that's perfect. Practice management is a form of energy work, and that's the way this course really works well, because as Dinah says, we go from our strengths, we go from what we're good at. Practice management is part of client care, and that's another thing that shiatsu practitioners tend to be good at. They tend to be good at looking after people. So we tend to be good at energy work, and we tend to be good at looking after people. So if shiatsu practitioners are good at energy work and client care, and practice management is a part of that, therefore it should follow that we can use those resources specifically to help the actual practicalities of building our practice. Because after all, we could be the most brilliant shiatsu practitioner in the world, but unless we've got a way of communicating that outside of our treatment room, then it's going to be a bit of a shame, isn't it? It's a waste. And that's really our philosophy. We want people to have shiatsu, and we want you to be busy. Okay, so let's go on, let's move on, and we'll explore week one. which is the 5 Sensing Our Practice week. Actually, you may know that we've got week 1 and week 2 resources. We've actually opened them up to guests, so you can go and have a look on the site, newenergywork.com site, and you can check out the resources, although it will be closing very soon. In fact, it'll be closing tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock when we kick the course off. But if you want to have a look this evening later on, after the webinar, then you're most welcome to do that. Okay, we're going to do a practical exercise now. Okay, so we're going to take part of the first exercise of week 1, and what you've got to do is you've got to, if you'd like to, you don't have to, but if you'd like to join in, you'll need a pen and paper. And in fact, I'm going to do it too. Why not? Can I have a piece of paper, Shakura? Yep, why not? I'm going to do it myself with you. Okay, so what you need is a piece of paper with 2 columns, and one is like a smiley face or a positive one, in other words, the things that you really like about your practice, and the other one's a slightly sadder face or things you'd like to change. We're going to use the part of the 5 Sensing exercise to explore that. So if you haven't got a piece of paper, just run off and get one. I'll just give you a minute to do that.
Okay, I'm running off to get one.
Have you not got pen and paper? It's okay.
You should mute me for a minute.
Okay, you know, Shakura's coming with a piece of paper for you. Dinah's actually in another room of the Shiatsu Centre to avoid echoing. So we've got all 3 of us in the Shiatsu Centre. we actually really could do with a recording studio, but actually we've got the Shiatsu Centre with wires everywhere and laptops everywhere. Okay, here we go. Right, hopefully you're ready. So you've got your 2 columns, positive and negative, or positive and what you'd like to change. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay, so now we're just going to get you to sit comfortably because I'm going to take you on a visualization. Right, if you'd like to just close your eyes and we'll do it together. Okay, so we're just going to close our eyes, go into our alignment and relax. Just let go of any tension you have in your body. Just going to go into the alignment, let the head float up, sacrum hang down. Just create some quietness, some space inside. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to imagine that we can see different aspects about our practice. So we're going to use the visual sense. So first of all, just think of any flyers or cards that you may have printed that may be out in the community or you may have given to people. Just imagine you're looking at them and just image them. Just see how you feel about them, whether you feel happy with the cards or the leaflets or whether you could improve them in any way. Okay, so that's the first thing. Okay, so now let's imagine we're approaching our practice or the room that we work in. If you work at home, you might want to start off outside on the street and work towards the room. If you work in a practice or clinic, you may want to imagine you're walking into the clinic. If you do home visits, just imagine seeing yourself arrive in your car with your equipment. Wherever you work, just first of all, take a visual journey into that space or into that activity. Just look around. What do you really like about what you see? And is there anything that you'd like to change? Okay, now we go in through the door, main door, wherever that is. Check out the entrance to your practice. What does it look like? What do you really like about it? And is there anything you'd like to improve? Okay, now we go up into the waiting area. Same thing, we're entering into the waiting area. Just visualize it. What are the things you really like about the waiting area? And is there anything you could do to improve what it looks like? Okay, now what about the bathroom or the loo? Let's just go in there for a second in our mind. Just check that out. What do you really like about the bathroom or the toilet in your practice? Is there anything else you'd like to change or improve? Okay, so we've gone into the building or the space, we've gone into the waiting area, the loo, the toilet or the bathroom, and now we're going into the actual treatment room. So let's just go in our mind's eye. What does it look like? What do you notice first of all? What do you really like about your treatment room? What visually, what are the things you really like about it? And what would you like to improve? Okay, so now let's just relax and let all those experiences kind of come together. And what we're going to do now is you can divide your list up into rooms if you like, or just keep it as 2 columns. Let's just spend a few minutes jotting down all the things that we've liked most and anything we'd like to change. Okay, so just give you a moment to do that, and I'm going to do that myself. So let's just think. Interesting to see whether Shakur and Dinah whether we all get the same list, because we all work out of the same centre. Okay. Okay. Let's give you another couple more minutes. I think it's important always to list the positive things as well, because it's important to recognize that you have done a great job in creating a space, but it's always worth reflecting on anything else that you'd like to improve. And it's 5 sensing your practice is a great technique. If you do the online course, you'll have the audio and all the resources that you can keep forever. So, and it's something that we try and do anyway regularly in the centre. You can go round and round the whole process. Just spend another minute finishing off the list. Okay, I've got a poll. If you'd like to just finish off rating your list, just count up how many you've got on your what you'd like to change list, and we've got a poll. We've got a poll for that, I believe. Have we got that? That's in the 5 sensing exercise. That's it. Yeah. If you just launch that poll, let's just see how many you've got. I can answer it. Oh, great! I can answer it myself here. Yeah, so did you have nothing you wanted to change between 1 and 3, 3 and 6, 6 and 9, or 10 or more? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, I thought I could think of 7 immediately. Let's see what we've got. Wow, Okay, here we go. 75% voted. Some of them, I think, are finishing off their lists. I guess the 2% who've got 10 or more are the ones that are very fast writers, probably, aren't they? Okay, great. 80% voted. Look at that. Not one of you could find nothing in that exercise to change. That's amazing. That's brilliant. Okay, and at least quite 40%, 38% had between 1 and 3 things they wanted to change immediately. 35% 3 and 6, and this is a category I was in. 25%, I had 7 things that I listed down, and 2% managed to write down 10 or more. So hopefully that you can use that exercise to start making changes in your practice immediately. And what we do with the what we do in the online course is the full exercise involves all the senses, and it's really quite a complete way of checking out your practice. And for a limited time until 9 o'clock tomorrow, all the resources are available free if you'd like to join, like to go and have a look as a guest, or you can join us on the course. Okay, so let's moving on. Yep, there we are. The complete audio exercise is available in the welcome area. I think I've put it in the welcome area as well. I'll have to check that later. Okay, great. So that's week 1, just to give you an idea of what we get up to. And of course, after the exercise, that's when the fun starts, because we all share, basically. There's a lot of networking on the courses, and you'll find that you learn probably as much from your peers as you do from the tutors, because you can share your space with everyone else on the course. And
That's one of the really fantastic things about these online courses. People are always amazed, aren't they? Because it feels so sort of alien and far from the kind of connection that we're used to with people. But actually, the online groups form a real bond and connect with each other in virtual reality, and you learn. I'd say you're absolutely right, Cliff. We learn as much from each other as fellow students as we do from the tutors and the material.
Yeah, it's great. It's experiences, isn't it? The photos are great as well, isn't it? Because people quite often, participants will
show us
post up the
practices.
Photos from their phone.
Yeah.
And you actually say it's an alien thing, but of course now with smartphones
it feels
and
like it at
Facebook,
first, but yes,
it's really becoming more of a natural thing to do. Yeah. And also the other thing we do is we use a lot of audio and a lot of video, so there's not really so much. You can download the audio and put them on an iPod, and we try and maximize the amount of things you can do away from the computer as well. So
yeah, absolutely. And things like, that's another thing that people think, oh, I don't want to do an online course because it means I've got to sit at my computer for hours. Actually, the lessons, the amount of time you need to be at your computer is relatively short, and then you take away what you've got from it and put it into practice in your life and in your shiatsu practice.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so it becomes real. Not just virtual kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you'd have to check your emails each day, but that's about it.
Yep, that's right. Okay, great. So let's move on to week 2, and this is a concept that we developed ourselves called the pyramid. It's one of the 3 techniques that we do in week 2. We also have other techniques that help you spread out information amongst your community, but the pyramid is designed to stop you wasting your time, which is very, very easy when you're building up your practice. And usually the classic mistake that people make is they put all of their effort into the least productive part, and it can be very dispiriting. I can remember Carola, actually, of all people, Carola Beresford Cook, told me decades ago when I first met her, that she had spent money on a leaflet which she'd posted through doors in her neighborhood sort of randomly, and was disappointed that she got only a very small response, and that kind of stuck with me. And we can find out why by looking at the pyramid, and this is an excerpt from the notes. Okay, this is just a bit of the notes that I've cut out and pasted onto this slide. Where do we focus our energy to make our practice grow? Well, most people, when you think of promotion, they think about going out to the general public with leaflets and posters, just like Carola did. So you're in very good company if you do that. But that is the hardest and it's the least productive way to get new clients. And it can be, as we say, very dispiriting. It's best to focus your energy on the base of the pyramid and increase your rate of referrals. And that's definitely how we've done it in the Shiatsu Center. I mean, in actual fact, I don't think we've done any paid advertising, have we? Hardly any. We've done
Not
a
for quite a
very
long time.
no,
Not for a long
no.
time. And,
We did use the Yellow Pages way back in the 80s when the Yellow Pages was a
yeah.
reference, and we've done odd little bits, but we don't really rely on.
I think at the very
No.
beginning you did, didn't you? You did things like telly and radio, and I've done some of those over
Yes,
the years.
yeah,
And of
that's
course
right.
we do normally have leaflets out in the world. But
Sure, of
I
course,
remember you
yeah.
telling me very early on, Cliff, and it stayed with me that those kind of things in a way, they're just little seeds. You can't expect that you will get clients coming through the door from picking up leaflets,
No,
except
that's right.
very slowly over the next 2 or 3 years after you've put them out.
That's right. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it's not a quick way of building your practice.
No, no, that's right. Okay, so let's just have a quick look at the pyramid while we've got time. We're doing okay. It's just gone 8 o'clock, so we've got another half an hour to get through the other 3 weeks. um, so let's just have a look. So if we go the other way round and we look at how we can work from the base of the pyramid, this is my favorite method. Yeah, work with the client that you're with right now, the one that's actually on your futon. If you imagine you did the most amazing shiatsu treatment that's ever been known in the history of the world, that person, there's no way that person's not going to walk out of the door and tell everyone they meet. And I guarantee that you will get people coming through the door. And that is the best way. And and also the other thing is when you start your practice, you do have time. You do have extra time where you can work on bark flower remedies. You can think of recommendations. Really, really look after your first clients as much as you can, because they're the precious base in which the whole of your shiatsu practice will grow, and it'll be built on those foundations. So you found that useful? Did you want to say something, Shakura? Should we just unmute? Shakura's just building her practice at the centre. She's here. Maybe she can. I'll just unmute her for a second, and she can tell us. Has that been your experience?
Definitely, especially after doing this course last year and just being shocked at the idea of not spreading my leaflets out, as that was my main option at first, but then just spending more time with each client, like you say, giving recommendations, working with batch flower remedies, and also giving them printed copies of different exercises that they can do and take away with them. They just felt more. I think they walked away feeling like I'd given them more, and then went and told their friends, and that kind of spread from there.
Yeah, I completely agree. If they feel really well looked after and that the treatment is of absolutely worth every penny, then they're going to go out and spread that word. And it's a very positive way of approaching expanding your practice. Instead of thinking, oh God, I'm not very good at leaflets, and oh dear, where have I got to put them, and where are the drawing pins? You actually just give them the best shiatsu you can and look after them the best you can, and those are things you're really good at, and it works.
Yep, absolutely.
Hello,
yep.
Hello.
Yep. Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Yes, yep, yep. Yeah, no, that's my main. And actually, funnily enough, I put that into practice myself recently, because I lived in Italy for 4 years, and I put my practice on the back burner in Norwich. I was only coming 4 or 5 days a month, and a year and a half ago, I moved back to Norwich, and I had to build it up again to full time, which for me is 3 days a week, 7 clients a day, and I thought I might have to do at least some phoning round or something else. But do you know what? I just took my own advice. I absolutely took my own advice, and I just
gave them fantastic shiatsu, and
well,
away you go.
Not that I don't try and do that on every client, but what I did with any spare time I had, and you saw me do it, didn't you, Dinah? Actually, with some clients, if I had a spare hour, rather than running around with leaflets or phoning people up, I just did extra stuff for the clients I had. Especially the ones that are in a critical stage of their treatment. I just spent the time on them, and it worked. I mean, I just didn't have to do anything else. That was enough. So, but it is true. true that I have got a very big, we have got a very big client base now, of course, after 30 years in Shiatsu Center. Okay, so moving up the pyramid, we've got the clients you're seeing now. That's the current clients, and they're the next precious layer of the pyramid. So the first thing you could do with them is just get in touch with them, and I've seen you doing that, Dinah.
Absolutely, yeah. If I really know that if my practice has gone a bit quiet, I think, oh, my focus must have been elsewhere. I need to bring some key in, and I literally flip through the filing cabinet, looking at my old client note and checking their names and thinking, oh, I haven't seen her lately, or I haven't seen him lately. And ones that I'm interested, whatever, I will just pick up the phone and say, how are you doing?
Yep, I've seen you do that. It's really works.
Really works. Yeah. I mean, it's because I love them and I want to know how they are, so it's a genuine phone call.
Yeah.
But also, it nearly always leads to a treatment, and then off we go again. And it's a very effective and rather enjoyable way of building your practice. Much more fun than putting up posters.
Well, there's two things that are, genuinely we're good at, which is looking after the client that was on the futon, and then checking the ones that the current clients, the ones that you're seeing, and then just taking that one step further, then you've got all your past clients. And with us in the Shiatsu Center, that is literally thousands. I think we've got something like 3,000 or 4,000 past clients. We've got an entire cupboard full of old client notes. But when you start off, it's going to be relatively small, but it doesn't matter. It's important to keep in touch, and that can either be a phone call, or you can do a postal mail out, always much appreciated in the world of Facebook and emails if you get something sent through the post. And we've got various ideas about how you can contact your past clients. So there's the first three layers of the pyramid, and we haven't even printed one leaflet yet. The next step up, you see how it works. We're going basic. It's all through word of mouth, really, or word of touch kind of thing. Because that's one of the things about Shiatsu. It's very difficult to describe it, really, about what it feels like. Whereas if you've got a client walking out who feels different, then they are going to be able to describe how they've experienced it to their friends and their family and stuff. So all the people your clients know, and that's how you can build your rate of referral. And I did used to do this when I first started my practice. I used to do a very simple thing, which is I used to thank my clients when they recommended other clients, because you'll find that you'll get one or two real fans who will literally, they'll just recommend everyone they know, and from them you'll get quite a lot of referrals. And it's really great to reward that. I mean, I know some people actually reward it by giving vouchers and things, but I just used to send a thank you card to them, and that I think really helps, because that again increases the rate of referral. And the other thing is, it's so much easier to work on someone who's been personally recommended than it is to have a cold client who's come in completely from the outside. Because
really true.
It's true, isn't it? Yeah, because you're more than halfway there, really, because they already know that they can trust you through their friend.
Absolutely. If they come in with their friend's words echoing in their ears, he or she is really brilliant, you'll love it, it's so this, that and the other, relaxing, tonifying, whatever it is they're after. And as Cliff says, you're really halfway there. It's a delight. I love new clients like that, especially when they've come with a recommendation. It's such fun. You can't lose. It's
no,
you're already a delight.
You're already halfway there, aren't you? Yeah, exactly. And then if you
extreme of the kind of those ones that have been sent in by their wife became it's the complete
direct opposite. But do you know what? I quite like those as a challenge, actually, because I just think if you can win the most skeptical client round, you really feel like you've achieved something.
That's true.
And I've actually had clients like that turn into some of the greatest fans of Shiatsu. Actually, they've been so surprised. So
yes,
Now, if you've got any more time left in your practice management development schedule, which I doubt, actually, you may find that takes up all amount of time. And we do a whole section on that later on in the course about how to set up your diary and stuff like that. Then you can go on to similar interest groups. And I have to say, I did do this when I first set up my practice. I did several talks to yoga. I did one to a martial arts class, one to a sort of healing group, one to a yoga group. And again, they tend to be people that you know or acquaintances that are in the group. Lots of these groups.
You used to teach at a massage school as well.
I did,
you?
yes, that's right. Yes, I did. Yeah, I got out and did talks and things like that, and they're a great way of just getting the whole word of shiatsu out and trying. And we got some guidelines on that as well about making it practical and stuff like that. So. And then only when you've done all that, which was going to take you at least as much time as you've probably got available to build it with practice, only then do you want to be going out, putting up posters and getting in touch with the general public. That's, as Dinah's pointed out earlier, is really just background stuff. And it can be very, very dispiriting if you put a lot of energy into that, because it's just not going to bring back what you expect.
That said, of course, it is important that your name is out in the world. You do need to have a leaflet, you do need to have a business card, but it's not something to expect quick results from.
No.
And it is more background. I mean, it's very important, but it's background.
It's really more in the window area, which is what we do in week 3. We talk about the window. And that's... in fact, there it is. There's a window. It's not a real window, by the way. It's a metaphorical window. You don't want your clients climbing in through the window. That's not very good health and safety practice. The question is, how easy is it for clients to get onto your futon? And we've got exercises, again, energy work-based exercises, to just see if there are any blocks between someone wanting to have a shiatsu with you and actually getting a shiatsu and getting into the building and actually lying down having the shiatsu. And it's amazing how, if we don't reflect on our own work, it's amazing how we can put up all kinds of blocks. And one of them, the most basic one, is, can they find you? I mean, you have to be, and really in this day and age, what that means is you have to have some kind of web presence. You have to have some kind of, again, leaflet. You have to have a phone that they can phone that will work, that will either be answered or have an answer phone message on it, And we go into that in great detail. In fact, Dinah's remember my handout on the answer phone message?
Specialities is the answer machine message. I think that it has been known, notes for it have been known to extend to 6 pages. It's very, very important how you leave your answer machine message. Actually, I'd like to point out on my list of sad face things was the blinking Google map of a nearby clinic.
Oh, yes.
Our current Google map for the Shiatsu Centre in Norwich somehow sneaks across to the Orange Grove Clinic. They've done something clever, which means that our people can't find us so easily, and so our window is narrower than it should be, and we
absolutely. I have actually complained directly to Google. Yeah, but that's a modern day problem.
Result? No,
I have not. I have not got anything back to them. No.
Yeah. So that's an example of how our window isn't quite as wide open for our clients as it could be.
Absolutely right.
Problem.
Yep, and especially with the increasing use of smartphones. I mean, we've actually had a couple of clients actually walk. Luckily, it's not very far, but they have walked the wrong place because they trust their phone more than anything else, and it sends them the wrong way. So there we are. You see. So we look in week 3. We look at what barriers do we put up physically, and I guess that's a physical thing, like actually being able to get through the door, and also what barriers do we put up energetically, and that's all to do really with setting up goals, which we pulled together at the end of the course, because it has to be an energetic thing. You can't say, oh, I want to double my clients if you physically haven't got the energy, the space, the room, or anything else. To actually fit them in. Actually, I've got some other polls. Let's do.
Yes, I think
let's do some polls. Time for a poll. Yes. Let's find out how many clients do you see in a week. Let's get an idea of how big your practice is. How many clients do you normally see in a week? Let's see. The poll should be up. If you'd just like to have a look and see. Oh, here we go. Look. Wow, okay. Right, look what we've got here. We've got the vast majority are only seeing up to 5 clients a week. So that's quite low, really. I mean, that's more like a part-time practice. That's like going up to 1 day a week, which is, I suppose we've got quite a lot of students as well. So that brings the total down a bit.
Wasn't it 70% of practitioners?
Practitioners, yeah. So quite a lot of practitioners must be having quite low practice. Yeah. Okay, well, let's find out.
That's why they're here.
Yeah, that's why they're here. Let's find out how whether you'd like to increase your practice. So we've got a poll on that. I just wondered, I might have to explain this poll. Yeah. Okay, so this is a poll on how much would you like to increase your practice. So basically, if you've got I don't know, 10 people and you want another 2.5, then you have given your 0 to 25%. So, 50% more is half as many again, and 50 to 100% would be like doubling your practice, and over 100% will be more than doubling your practice. So let's just see what your aims are. Wow, okay.
Or have you even thought about it?
Oh, we've got some people who are fine just as they are. They'd just like to maintain what they've got. Well, that's good. We don't know 2%. Right. Oh, right. Yes, that's true. Yes. So some people might have already got a full practice. They just want to maintain it. Yeah. Okay. Shall we check that one out? Look at that. We've got the majority would like to almost around double their practice, from half as much to double. So that's
very interesting, isn't it?
That's very
almost everybody, 98% of people that are on this have taken part in this poll want to up their client
practice. Yes, I guess that's probably why you're here. But anyway, okay. So look, let's find out what kind of practice management training you've got. So we've got the third poll of this little series. We're going to find out just to see what kind of. Can you just tell us how you feel about the practice management training that you had in your school?
And if you didn't study at a shiatsu school, at wherever you did study.
That's right.
There were one or two people who aren't shiatsu people, aren't there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, just give us an idea about how you feel about your practice management training that you had in your school.
Of course, there might be some people who had very little at school but have done some subsequently.
That's true. Yes, that's true.
They could perhaps put their hand up if anyone's in that position. That'd be interesting to hear.
Yeah, if anyone wants any comments or questions, that'd be great. Okay. Well, not a very good turnout for the training. 59% had poor, minimal practice management training. 22% had zero. They had no practice management training, and
that's nearly a quarter.
Only 8% said that they had very effective, and only 18% had very or quite effective training. That's
pretty poor, isn't it?
Pretty bad. Yeah. Okay. Well, that just shows you how much this course is needed, then, doesn't it? Yeah.
Needed. Yes.
Yeah. It really is
also
needed.
I mean, it makes sense in light of the numbers of people who want to increase their practice by a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes total sense. Yeah. And especially now. I mean, especially because the economic situation, we're at the in a time when it's hard. It's hard to get people to do new things, and so you just got to really make sure that you do have your whole practice management thing sorted, and also not realize that it's a process as well. It's something that well, I mean, I've got nearly 9 things, or however many things, 7 things I've got to do on my list, so it's an ongoing thing. It's not something that you just do once. Okay, so that's week 3, the window. Week 4, here's one for shiatsu people, and that's about money. Okay, and I've got a poll at the end. We'll do that at the end of this little bit of the presentation about how you feel about charging. We often find that this is an issue with shiatsu people, again, because we tend to work as therapists, and we're not primarily, at least I'm speaking for myself here, we're not primarily driven by money as a as a primary motivation, although of course it's a necessary part of the exchange. And so what we do is we take an energetic look at money, and we look at money and we think about it as a form of condensed ki. And we've got a poll about your access to money. Should we do that now? Just about your attitude to money now. Did we do that? How comfortable do you feel like? Yeah, let's find out how comfortable you feel charging for shiatsu. I may be completely wrong, of course. We might find out that the majority are comfortable. Let's see.
Yes, I suspect that
has changed.
Has changed since I started as a student. when
Yes.
a lot of my fellow students and early days practitioners were very uncomfortable about it, and I suspect that people are more positive about it than they used to. But it'll
Yep.
be interesting to see what people
Well, the results are showing that
vote.
you're absolutely right, Dinah. You're absolutely right, and I think that's true because I mean I started studying shiatsu in the 80s, so it was like late
Yeah,
70s, early 80s type of feel.
yeah,
It was more of a kind of alternative thing, whereas now it's far more mainstream. And look, here we
yeah,
go. Well done,
yeah.
everyone. Excellent,
Hurrah!
excellent. Okay, you're not going to
Nearly
need
70% people are
feel
comfortable or
or
very.
very comfortable. Yeah, and only
Yeah, good,
20% are uncomfortable, and only 2% are very uncomfortable.
good.
Okay. Well, that's very good, isn't it? That's good. We
Yeah,
may have to
and
revise week
it's a
4.
quite a big change. I think it is quite a
Yeah,
big change, but I
yeah,
still think that it's really that very phrase that you've got there, money is a condensed form of key, is a really precious approach to way of looking at money as a medium of exchange, and I think that's helpful to bear in mind.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
As is your next point, that you don't use it for yourself. It's not for your blinking fancy holidays. It's to make your practice lovely, to look after your clients.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and of course the money that you have coming in, a lot of it is obviously. I mean, you've got to keep alive and happy, otherwise you wouldn't be there, and there wouldn't be any shiatsu going on. That's a very important thing to
Absolutely.
look after yourself. But
Mm.
as Dinah says, I mean, you need the money to get also money to make sure you look after your clients. It goes back to client care again, you know. So if you undercharge. And we go into the whole pricing and charging thing. If you undercharge, there's a real danger there because you won't have enough to keep yourself happy and keep your practice looking good and being invested in, and that will put you into a negative spiral. Okay,
And
so we
last year, I remember one of the students, I think it was her husband, who pointed out that really she should aim for her pricing structure to be reassuringly expensive.
yep, that's right.
I
Yeah,
and of course, if you feel like you're paying a good whack, you'll get, you want to feel that you're getting your money's worth, but there is a certain comfort in thinking, yeah, this is a valuable, precious thing that I'm paying for.
a lot of it is about valuing, isn't it? Yeah.
Mm,
But the thing is, as we'll see in the course, I mean, it's important that you're comfortable with what you're charging, and also it has to reflect all the other things in your setup, you know, where you're working and everything. But we go
yeah.
into detail on that. But that's really quite reassuring to see. Okay, we've got just under 10 minutes left, so that brings us to week 5. And what we do in week 5 is we pull it all together and we get you all working on creating your dream practice. And we again use energy work techniques, the famous saying from the Tai Chi classics, which we all live by. Mind leads the key, the mind leads the key, and the key leads the blood. In other words, the physical movement. We look at how you can create dreams for yourself, the ideal situation, and then practical ways of working, putting all the material. And there really is actually a lot of material in the course.
There
That
is.
reading.
It sounds like quite a relatively limited, but once you start, actually, it's a really rich seam, and
There
there's
is, and
loads of stuff that can just have almost a magic effect on people's practice. We've had such fun with this course the last 3 years,
we
and
have, yeah.
people's practices have actually hugely increased while they're doing the course during the 5 weeks.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely, yeah.
can't recommend it strongly enough. If you really want to up your practice, then join us. It's very good fun, and it works.
Yeah. In fact, I've noticed that we've got a few people who are graduates of the course so they've probably come back to have a quick refresher, which is always great to see you back on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
webinar.
absolutely.
Okay, so that's the 5 weeks, and we've got 5 minutes left. We've got a few more slides left. I think we've done all the polls, haven't we? Yep, we've done all the polls, so that's been great. Let's just finish up by having a quick look at what the courses actually look like. Here we go. This is, if you haven't been to the site yet, this is what the course looks like, and you can see that it's basically laid out as a lot of links to different resources. This is what an audio file looks like. This is a streamed version, so we have a lot of audio meditations. You can also download them as MP3s, put them on your phone or your iPod and take them away with you. So that's what it kind of looks like. And here's just a section of the notes. Look, this is page 1 of 7, and this is part 1. So we have got several series of notes which build together into a kind of manual that you'll have as PDFs that you can print out to take away with you.
It's
Plus,
a terrific resource, I think.
And you'll have all the audio and video links as well that we've got. So you can take those away. And as we say, it is a process really. So it's really worth. In fact, we like doing it, don't we? We do it. Yeah, that's what Shakura
really
said. We do it every time. It absolutely does. Yeah, we do it every time. In fact, Shakura, you were just doing your cards yesterday, weren't you, in preparation? Yep, Shakura wants to be one step ahead, so she had the graphic designer in here yesterday. Okay, so let's review. We've got four minutes left, so let's just think back over the last hour we spent together. Thank you very much for coming on the webinar. We had nearly 100 people register this time, and a very big proportion of you have actually managed to log on. We're also recording it as well, so if you want to check it out later, we'll put it onto YouTube and you can have a look at it again. Okay, so we had a look at how the webinar works and how the online courses work. Don't forget, it's asynchronous. The online courses are asynchronous. They're not like webinars. They are mainly video, audio, and text, and networking on forums.
And you can do them morning, noon, and night.
Morning, noon, and night. Yep, anytime you like. Any time zone. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, we've got the Successful Practice 5-week course starting tomorrow, 9 o'clock. And we've looked at 5 sensing your practice.
GMT.
That's GMT, yes, in case you're in Australia or no one is North America, South America. 5 sensing your practice. We've done the vision one, and you can imagine that you can go through all the senses. We looked at the pyramid in detail. We've also got 2 other techniques we haven't had a chance to look into on the webinar, which is the spiral and the wave. They're both practical techniques for getting that feeling, that energy feeling thing out into your community and getting clients into your practice. The window is another one we look at in detail, and the flywheel is another technique for keeping the momentum going in your practice. We look at money issues, not that many of you seem to need it, but we will look at that in week 4. We've got lots of practical hints on that as well in the notes, which I'm sure you'll find interesting. Oh, bless you, Dinah. There we are. Look, that's a webinar sneeze. There we are. That's been broadcast around the planet.
I hope the germs haven't. I think I've got an invasion of cold from the window. Pernicious wind.
I think we might have to edit that bit out when we put it on YouTube.
Yes, sorry about that.
Or maybe not. Okay, how the online course works. We looked at that. I showed you a few screenshots and you get the idea of how it works. Okay, and all we've got left now is to say thank you very much for attending. There is there's a poll, a survey I think it's called, when you leave the webinar, and if you'd like to fill that in, that's great, because that gives us good information about how we can improve and webinars and stuff like that. The course starts tomorrow at 9 o'clock. We'll probably keep it open, I think, tomorrow, won't we, Shakura? The enrollments tomorrow, at least, just in case you want to email us. You can email Shakura directly on admin@newenergywork.com if you want to reserve a place. We keep the courses small, so we limit them. So we will close the enrollments off when the course is full, as we found through bitter experience that it's just too much work if we get over about 10, 12 people. So we limit it. Okay. And then the survey will be there when the webinar ends. Okay, great. That's it then. I think we've all set. We've got 1 more minute to run.
No hands up, no questions.
No more questions.
Anybody?
No. Yeah, no, it's been very quiet question-wise, hasn't it? Yeah. But very, very active polls, though. I think that's it. We had so many polls this time. No one had a chance to. The course. Greg Tull asked for the cost of the course. Yep, the course we charge £145 for the 5-week course. So, yep, that's how much it is, and that includes obviously everything for over the 5 weeks.
It is terrifically good value, actually.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Week?
Yep, that's it. It's a fantastic investment.
It's less than 30 quid a week, and you will get that many clients during the duration of the course.
Yeah,
I promise.
I would be very, very surprised. Very surprised if you don't get the cost of the course back within the first few weeks. I would think that's pretty fair.
Probably during it, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's really worth thinking about.
Yeah, wouldn't you say so, Shakura, having done it? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, if you'd like to join us, we'd love to have you on the course.
Look
Okay.
forward to seeing you there.
Look forward to seeing you there. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I'm now going to end the webinar. Thank you very
Bye,
much.
everybody.
Goodbye.
Happy New Year.
Oh yes, Happy New Year from the Shiatsu Centre.
Yeah. Woohoo.